Hey guys, what's up? This is Dingo Crikey here with another commentary video. This time I'm going to be discussing a topic relating to Transformers 5. If you guys are interested in more news and discussion on Transformers 5, the Transformers 4 Age of Extinction toy line, or just general Transformers discussion topics, then please check out my playlist and channel where I also have over 20 Transformers stop motion videos, some of which are previewed here. But this video's topic is going to be out of the Autobot characters who were not officially killed between the events of Transformers Dark of the Moon and the end of Age of Extinction, which ones are most likely to return for Transformers 5, and which ones would we like to see return most out of all those characters. This is sort of a viewer-requested topic. No individual in particular suggested that I do this topic exactly, but I've noticed from the comments on my Transformers 5 Sideswipe to Return video that a lot of people have been discussing, and a lot of people have asked for my thoughts on, which Autobots out of the ones that are still alive would return in Transformers 5 outside of Sideswipe. While I don't think each of those characters deserves their own video, I figured I would just make a compilation video discussing all of the different Autobot characters and what are my thoughts on their potential return. This video, as I mentioned, is only discussing characters who have a possibility of still being alive. If you want me to give my thoughts on characters who are specifically announced as deceased, then you can check out my video titled Transformers 5 Will Deceased Autobot Characters Return? And if you want to hear my thoughts on Sideswipe in particular, you can check out my video titled Transformers 5 Sideswipe to Return. As a disclaimer, the only material that I'm counting relevant in this video is stuff that we actually seen throughout the Transformer films. Basically, if a character didn't die in the movies, if they didn't actually have a death scene or were said to have been killed off, had their face placed down with an X over top of it, something like that. I know a lot of people are going to want to recount events of the comics and the books that go along with the films, but as we've seen, those aren't always canon to what actually happens in the films, so, I'm not considering them canon in this video. With that said, let's start with my thoughts on the possibility of certain characters coming back. And to begin that, I'm going to actually be discussing two characters, and that is the notorious Skids and Mudflap. No, simply no. I would say there is very possibly a 0% chance that either of these two guys would even have a small appearance in Transformers 5. These guys couldn't even make it into Transformers Dark of the Moon. I mean, parents hate them, Transformers fans hate them, heck, even Michael Bay seems to have betrayed these two guys despite initially being positive about them. I mean, no one likes Skids and Mudflaps, no one wants to see them return in the film, and they contributed nothing to the story in Revenge of the Fallen, so I don't see any relevance to having them reappear in the film. I think everyone will be fine if we never knew if they died or not, or maybe they were just a bad nightmare or something like that. I just highly, highly doubt these guys are going to return. I would be surprised if they even got new toys in the Transformers 5 toy line. So, in my opinion, Skids and Mudflap are gone for good. Though I already discussed him, I'll mention Sideswipe here. Logically, I think it would make a lot of sense that Sideswipe could appear in Transformers 5. He was never stated to have been killed in Transformers Age of Extinction or prior to that, and he seems like a pretty tough character, so it's hard to believe he would just be killed off by a bunch of humans. I think it seems more likely that he would have went into hiding and already become suspicious with the humans' activity. With saying that, these movies aren't really that big on logic. I mean, Age of Extinction pretty much demonstrated that for the final time. Still, Sideswipe seems to be a very popular character out of the Autobots featured in the film. He wasn't officially killed off, and it doesn't look like Michael Bay's going to be aboard for the next film, so who knows, maybe we'll have people involved with the film who actually care about certain characters and what feedback fans are giving them. And if that's the case, Sideswipe's popularity might give him a chance of appearing in the film, and he's a lot more prominent than some of the other Autobot characters, despite never being as big as characters like Optimus or Bumblebee or Hound. I do think there's a pretty good chance we could see Sideswipe. I'm still going to place it at a 60-40 like I did in my video before, with a 40% chance of him appearing, but that's definitely higher than the chance Skids and Mudflap have of returning. Then we have Jolt. Jolt's kind of a weird one because he didn't appear in Dark of the Moon, he only appeared in Revenge of the Fallen, yet he seems to be a pretty popular character, and he's gotten a few figures since his initial appearance. Despite him having a cool design and being fairly popular, I don't think the chances are very high for Jolt to return in Transformers 5. The name Jolt isn't even that of a prominent character in any other Transformers series, at least not one I can think of. He did have a unique weapon, but lots of these characters do, so he's nothing too special in that regard. Yeah, I just don't think the chances are very high for Jolt to return. Then we have Dino or Mirage. I also don't think the chances of him returning are too high, but I think they might be helped by the fact that he never got a figure, so maybe they would want to include him in the film just to give him a little bit more of a spotlight. Still, a lot of people argue that because the voice actor for his character had died shortly after the film was made, they wouldn't have him reappear, but we've seen with both Sideswipe and Leadfoot's characters that they were able to switch up the voice actors without that much of a problem, so I don't think that would be a huge barrier to his character appearing again. I think his chances are a bit higher than Jolt's chances, but probably not as high as Sideswipe's chances. Then we have Roadbuster. He is also a pretty minor character, but he was never officially stated to have been killed off in Age of Extinction. He seems to be another one who has a good amount of popularity behind him. I know a lot of people like the deluxe class Roadbuster figure, and, he seemed like a pretty tough character being a wrecker and all, so I think it would be a shame if they just left him as killed off. Logically, it would make sense if any of the Autobots survived, he would be one of them. While I don't think it's extremely probable that they would bring him back for Transformers 5, I would say he has a fair chance given the chances that these characters do have. And next we have Topspin as the third wrecker, and I would say he has about the same chances as Roadbuster, but maybe a little lower since he had a pretty minor role throughout the film. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the probability of certain characters returning. I mean, just with the way these movies have been done, I just don't think it's that likely that we would see a lot of them return. If you want to hear me discuss this more, watch my video that specifically talks about Sideswipe. But I do gotta say, with Michael Bay supposedly taking up a smaller role, if that, in the franchise, I do think there might be a higher chance of certain characters reappearing. Like I said, maybe we'll get people who actually, care about Transformers or care a little bit more. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Next, which characters would I personally like to see return most out of these characters which have been discussed? And I'll kind of just go through this countdown style for fun. Okay, so at the bottom of my list, Skids and Mudflap. I mean, I'm with the majority on this. I really don't like Skids and Mudflap. I mean, these films already don't have much substance to them as opposed to most other Transformers media, but these guys they contributed nothing to the film. They were annoying, they were racist, they were Jar Jar Binks, they were just everything wrong with these movies. So, I mean, they had cool vehicle modes, but that's about it. Even the robot modes were kind of dumb. Creative, but, they were a good one-time thing. Yeah, I just don't want to see Skids and Mudflap again. Next would be Topspin. I mean, some people are probably going to disagree with me here. I do have the armored Topspin figure, and it's pretty cool, but really, he didn't have that big of a role in the movies. I really think if they had ideas for other characters or Autobot character they wanted to develop, they don't really need to bring Topspin back to do that with. I think they could replace him with a newer character. And that kind of leads into the next character, Roadbuster. I mean, it's been a long time since I watched Dark of the Moon, so I don't remember him all that well, but kind of the same thoughts there. I mean, he seems kind of cool, but he was nothing too memorable. Jolt, I'm kind of just biased toward Jolt, I'll admit it. I really like the figure. I thought he was cool for what he did do in the movies. He had a cool weapon. I don't know, a lot of times I'm kind of attracted toward those characters who just stay on the side and kind of do things as they're told and look cool, sort of like Prime Soundwave. And we've seen in his case, he ended up doing some really cool stuff later on in the show. I won't spoil it for you guys who haven't seen Transformers Prime. But a lot of time those characters will get developed into really cool characters unless the author of the work of fiction just sits on them and totally disregards their potential, which will probably happen in this case, but I would like to see Jolt return. Then, Dino or Mirage. A lot of this just comes down to the fact that if he appeared in Transformers 5, maybe, just maybe, we would finally get a figure for this character. I would seriously beg Hasbro, because I thought his design was so cool in the film. I would like to get the Takara one that's been released for the Age of Extinction toy line, but I would prefer an original mold for this character. And, you know, he seemed kind of cool in the movie. It is a shame that the voice actor passed away, but I think they could get someone to replace him. I mean, for a Transformers character, you could probably have someone mimic the voice pretty well. It's not something as iconic as Peter Cullen's voice. He also had a cool fighting style in the movie. I liked his weapons, the way he just stood, his design. You know, he's cool. I mean, these characters from the films, you can't really go off like, well, how good was their backstory, their relations with other characters. I mean, I could discuss a lot of different stuff like that if we were talking about Beast Wars. But with these films, all we kind of really have to go off is how cool is the character. And that brings me to the top of my list. You guys probably knew this was coming, and that is, of course, Sideswipe. I'm a big Sideswipe fan ever since he was introduced in Revenge of the Fallen. He didn't have a huge role in the film, but he seemed like a really cool character for the time he got. He had an awesome design. I loved the blades, how he rode around on the wheels. That was really cool. The time he did get in Dark of the Moon was awesome. The standoff scene with Ironhide and the Dreads was, you know, really exciting. It was actually one of the few scenes in the films up to that point that actually gave some character interaction to the Transformer characters rather than just Optimus and Bumblebee. So it was a really cool scene. It's sad that Ironhide got killed off shortly afterwards. I would have really liked to see kind of a partnership between those two characters. That could have been really cool, but you know, if they bring Sideswipe back, potentially we could see a character like Sunstreaker arrive with newer Autobot characters such as Ultra Magnus and Rodimus. I think that'd be really cool if, you know, there was some reuniting between Sideswipe and Sunstreaker and, you know, finding out Sideswipe's back, or they can bring him back in a battle in the film, you know, as an Autobot who comes back to help out the main Autobots if they're being gunned down or something like that. You know, I don't think the chances of them doing that are very high, but I think it would be really, really cool. And if there is any chance that the people working on the films do look around to see what Transformer fans want to see in the next film, I think it would be really, really cool if, you know, everyone who likes Sideswipe could, you know, give that support to him, and maybe we could see him in Transformers 5. I would personally really like to. I've liked the Sideswipe figures we've gotten as well. So I'm hoping they bring him back for the film. I think he's a really cool character. I would like to see potential for development. And they are having a character called Sideswipe in the Robots in Disguise cartoon. I didn't think of that earlier, but that might up his chances for an appearance in Transformers 5 too. I mean, with his color scheme in Robots in Disguise, his G1 color scheme, and to make him fit in with the rest of the Autobot cast, they might color him red, so we'll have a blue one, a green one, Bumblebee a yellow one, and then Sideswipe being the red one. Maybe he'll still have some silver. I like the silver better, but I could deal with red. Red and silver would be really cool, sort of like the sidearm Sideswipe figure. But anyways, I'm starting to ramble. I could ramble a lot about Sideswipe, even though he's such a minor character, but you guys know what I mean. We love Sideswipe. Anyways, you guys can leave your thoughts in the comment section below. How high do you think the chances are for these characters potentially returning? Which ones would you like to see return most? Maybe you totally disagree and you don't care about seeing Sideswipe return at all, and you're a big Wreckers fan and want to see Top Spin and Roadbuster return, you know, being all angry over Leadfoot's death or something like that. Or maybe you really don't care about these characters returning and are in the boat that wants to see all new Autobot characters. Hopefully them get development, but you just, you know, don't care about these previous ones. Anyways, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, along with any topic suggestions relating to Transformers 5, Age of Extinction, the new Robots in Disguise cartoon, whatever it might be. I'll take a look at it, and if it's good enough, I'll do a video on it. With that said, if I don't get to doing a video on it, it doesn't necessarily mean it was a bad suggestion. It just means I might have not seen your comment, or maybe I just haven't gone around to doing it. Still, I really, really appreciate the topic suggestions. It gives me more stuff to discuss in these videos. It's really cool to know there are other people like interested in discussing all this stuff. And yeah, that's about all I have to say for this one. If you haven't already done so, then please check out my other Transformers commentary videos along with my Transformers stop motion videos. Stay tuned for a new Transformers commentary video this Wednesday. Thanks for watching, and have a good one, guys.